All right, guys, let's talk about religion. Since so many people really want to bring this subject up in the comment section of my videos, let's talk about it. All right, let's talk about it. All right, because so many of you guys, again, not all of you guys, but I just want to talk to some of you guys that are thinking this. You think that all I need in my life is Jesus, or maybe I need Allah. Okay, maybe that's what I need in order to live a happy life. Well, how's that working out for you? No, not what you're supposed to tell me, okay? I don't want to hear what you're supposed to tell me. Don't tell me, don't repeat what someone's told you to tell or how it's supposed to be. I want to really, really know, how is that working out for you? Okay? I want you to dig deep and ask yourself the question, how is that working out for you? Now, let me give you some frame of reference of where I'm talking from. I used to teach a Bible study. I grew up Christian. I've probably read the Bible more times than you have. I've read the Quran. I've read the Book of Mormon. Okay? I've read some of the Hindu texts, the Vedas, parts of it. It's a little hard to read all the Vedas, but okay, you know. So I'm pretty familiar with world religion. In fact, yeah, definitely with the Bible and Christianity. Like I said, I taught a Bible study on that, taught a men's Bible study on that. Now, what I have discovered, okay, in my journey is that a majority of religious people are fake. A majority of religion is just pretending like you're something you're not, pretending like you like something you don't, pretending like you are happy when you're not, pretending like you have found the problem, the solution to everyone's problem, and it is the solution to your problem. And the reason why so many people do this is because they're told to, is because guess what? If you're a Christian and you don't believe that Christ is the answer to all of your problems in life, that all you have to do is believe in Christ and He's paid for all your sins and you just need a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. If you don't believe that that is enough, then you're not really a Christian, or there's something wrong with you. And so because of that, so many people delude themselves into believing that's true. Now, let me get to where I'm going here. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong for being Christian. I'm not saying you're wrong for being Muslim. That's fine. If that's what you want to do and you truly believe that, even if you don't truly believe that, but you're trying to, good for you. I applaud you. That's great. Awesome. Okay? Anyone that is trying in any way to find something outside of themselves and connect with a higher purpose and to live by principles, okay, is a person that is worthy of respect. That's a good thing. Okay? Don't assume that I don't know about that stuff. I do know about that stuff. I've experienced that stuff. I have been a person who has studied and argued Christian apologetics and have converted people to Christ. Okay, I've done that. I get it. Totally get it. Okay? I thought that was the only thing to do, the most important thing to do in life at some point. Then I suppose I read a book, or I listened to the audiobook by Joseph Brenner is it called An Impersonal God? I think that's what it is. Or An Impersonal Life. It's either An Impersonal God or An Impersonal Life. I'll have to look it up later. I'm sure someone will leave a comment down below, or you'll find it. You look up Joseph Brenner, you'll find it. Okay, I listened to this audiobook. I remember when I was in Iceland a few years back traveling. And man, I hated that book. I did not like what that book had to say. Because the book kind of started off, it's basically written as if it is God talking to you. Okay? And he's basically telling you all the things that you believe that are wrong. And he's telling you that you're not anything. You're just a cell of my body. Like, you and yourself is nothing. You just have this delusion that you are separate from me, but you are me. You are a part of me. You are a cell in my body. I was very resistant to that. I still am, to a degree, right? The ego says, no, buddy. Look, I am my own person. But once I had heard those things and heard what is said in that book, there was no going back. I tried to go back. I tried to, be a good Christian or really deeply think about these things. But it opened up my mind. And not only did it open up my mind, but at the same time, around the same time, I was studying Stoic philosophy, right? Which was interesting because Stoic philosophy is almost kind of like a religion itself, right? It's a way of living. It's a way of life, and religion is a way of living as well, if you think about it, right? It's a life philosophy. Religion is life philosophy. Stoic philosophy is a life philosophy. Stoic philosophy is the only life philosophy, the only one that makes sense. Okay, but as I was studying Stoic philosophy, it was all about this non-attachment, not being attached to outcome, emotional mastery, the idea that you should not let the external influence the internal. You should not be in any way dependent on the external in order for your internal state. And to me, it sort of sounded like we're all kind of one. We're all part of one thing. Joseph Brenner was saying this thing. Then, I read The Power of Now, okay, by Eckhart Tolle. And I'm like, this is a really weird woo-woo book, but sure, why not? Let's read this thing. What he says starts to make a lot of sense here. I'm looking at Eastern religions, Buddhism, studying that, saying, well, what do they have to say? I mean, let's just see what people have to say. I mean, part of this, I studied these things in order to argue against these things, right? A lot of Christian pastors are like, watch out for this New Age stuff. Why are they so threatened by New Age stuff? Because it makes a lot of fucking sense. Okay, not to say that anyone has it all figured out. No one does, okay? But I started exploring that. I started exploring, are we living in a holographic universe? Is this a simulation? Are we inside of a computer? Interesting. Does that contradict that there's a God? Not necessarily. Maybe God's the one who made the machine. Maybe God is in a different simulation that is outside of our simulation. Maybe our God is a simulation. And, there's a lot of ways you can go with this, believe me. I'm not going to get into all of the things, but I'm telling you this partially because I want you to think, but I also want you to know I have thought. All right, and you know what? One thing I've learned from the Mormons is that don't trust the burning in your bosom, okay? Just because you have this burning feeling in your heart, that doesn't mean things are true, right? There's a really good book called Letting Go, I think, and it's so funny because at the end of the book, there's a spectrum of like consciousness, essentially vibrational frequency, and people use it a lot. But you know what part of the book they don't like? The whole testing part, where you hold things in your hand and you test them to see, a strength test. Like, it's really weird. It gets weird, okay? Where am I going with this? What I'm saying is that there's a lot of stuff out there. But going back to my journey and what I started discovering is I was like, okay, the wisest people, the people who seem to really know how to live their lives and to seem to have principles for living their lives and are not hypocrites, okay? Those seem to be the people that are pointing to the idea that everything is one, that we're all one, that there is one consciousness, right? And even Carl Jung, right? He talked about this, right? This idea of this universal consciousness, this deep consciousness within us that we could tap into, okay? These archetypes that we see, the warrior, magician, lover, right? That exist. Where are these coming from? They're coming from this universal mind, this consciousness, this thing that supersedes all of us. And so where I started to come to conclusion from all this, which again, it's not totally conclusive, is I was like, look, it makes a lot of sense, and it just seems correct that we don't quite understand all this stuff. That it seems likely that there is one universal consciousness and we are part of it. And even when I just started doing the thought exercise myself, I'm like, okay, God is omnipotent. Okay, he's omniscient, right? Omnipresent. Well, if he's omnipresent, that means he's everywhere. That means he must be everything. You cannot be everywhere and not be everything. It just follows, right? Again, you can go down to the science of it, and people are like, oh, Big Bang. Some people claim to be atheists. That's a dumb argument. You're not an atheist. If you're truly an atheist, you would do whatever the hell you wanted. You would get away with whatever, because there's no moral law. There's no such thing as morality if you're an atheist. It's literally just survival of the fittest. It's literally whatever you can get away with, you might as well do. There's nothing that's wrong. Why is it wrong to lie to someone or to hurt someone or kill someone? There's no concept of wrong. So you're not an atheist. And besides, it just doesn't make any logical sense. We go back to the Big Bang, okay? And then where'd the Big Bang come from? It just came from itself? Fine, God came from himself. Like, we can do this argument all day, back and forth. The point is that none of this shit makes sense. When you go back as far back as you can to any argument, it must devolve into a mystical one. There must be some mystical explanation that is beyond our comprehension and knowledge. Even if we go to the computer simulation, if we're living in a simulation, okay, fine, that explains a lot of things. It explains the Big Bang, right? The Big Bang was the start of the simulation. Someone programmed it to be a dot, and then that blew up. But where did the simulation come from? And is that a simulation? And if so, where did that one come from? And so on and so forth. And then some universal consciousness must have created it. There must be a God. Okay? The question is, which God? And are we God? And believe me, I've read The Case for Christ. Thank you guys, I've read it many times. Okay? I am very familiar with all of the arguments for the case for Christ. Why? Oh, well, if there must be one God, and then which one, and which one says the things that make sense, and which has the historically corroborated evidence of the life of Jesus. I understand all of those things, okay? But it still feels a lot like grasping for straws. And again, I'm not trying to knock your religion, okay? If you're Christian, that's totally fine. We're brothers, man. I love you. It's good. It's all good. Like, I'm not trying to knock your religion. I'm not trying to convert you out of Christianity. Hey, if on your own discovery you decide that these things don't make that much sense and there's some other truths, that's great. I think being Christian, being Muslim, I think that's a great step on your spiritual development and your journey, and maybe in this life or this consciousness, it's exactly what you need. And I'm cool with that. I'm fine, right? It doesn't even mean that I'm saying you're wrong. I think to some degree you are right. I think that you are right to some degree. I know that sounds really weird, okay? But it's not about right or wrong. It's about experience, and it's about growth, and it's about what is the lesson that you need to learn. What is the progress of your soul? Because that's what I think we're here on this earth for. So, like I said, I started studying all these things. I started connecting the dots, and I started watching the people that seemed to be the most loving. And the people who have the most love, okay, which in pretty much any religion, God is love, right? At least, that's the highest tenet that we could, I think people generally agree to that thing. And the people who seem to have the most love, guess who those people are? Those are the people that are more focused on sort of Eastern ideologies, right? I'm not saying that they're Zen Buddhists or this kind of Buddhism. I think Buddhism itself is very, I've traveled, I've been to China, okay? That's not what, that's not what Buddha had in mind. That's not the thing, okay? It's not, right? Just like, if you say Christ, the church, Christian, the rock band and everything, and the music, and the selling books and making money off of religion, that's not what Christ had in mind either. It's not. So, and again, I don't think Muhammad had in mind a lot of the things. Again, there's a lot of variations, a lot of different, people believe different things within their religion. So I'm not trying to knock anyone's religion, like I said, because honestly, hey, I'm glad you're following some kind of path in life. That's good. But like I said, with my own experiences and what's matched up for me is I found that the people who actually seem to have the highest level of awareness in life and operate from that awareness tend to be the people who truly understand that consciousness, that really, okay, actually this, all right, because I was trying to figure out what am I really saying with this. What I'm saying is actually this, and this is why it's a hard thing to say, is because the people who have really achieved the highest levels of enlightenment have realized that it's all about awareness. And the people who are more aware are people who hurt people less, who do generally better things, are able to understand and control themselves better. Okay, you could say that they're not as bad of sinners, if you want to go there with it, right? They have more forgiveness for people. They have more tolerance. They have more respect. All right, and it's funny because when I see guys posting comments in my videos about you need Christ, and it doesn't feel very brotherly. It feels like you know the answer and I'm lost and you've got it figured out. It doesn't really feel like a high level of awareness, right? It feels like a Band-Aid that you can just stick on things and be like, oh, you need Christ, here you go, have some Christ, there you go. Does that really fix anything? Do you really think, like, if you had a higher level of awareness, do you think that even if you're correct, even if you were correct, okay, do you think that posting a comment on my video, hey brother, it's time you came back for Christ, you came back to Christ, maybe you need to read the Bible, you need to read Ecclesiastes, whatever. Do you think that is actually going to produce fruit? Do you think that I'm going to read the comment and then be like, you know, you're right, and then that's going to change my life? Do you think that it's that simple? It's not that simple, right? And again, the reason why I'm pointing this out is because, and maybe I'm falling on deaf ears here, as I want you to see that your level of awareness is low. It's not high. It isn't high. So your understanding is also low. Okay, again, I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking your religion. I'm not saying, you know, Christianity is not the answer or whatever it is. I'm not trying to do any of those things. This is such a great background here. I just keep on trying to make it look so awesome. But what I'm saying though is that, look, if you don't even get that, what else don't you get? Don't assume that I'm the one who doesn't get it. And believe me, do I have it all figured out? Absolutely not. But I'm trying to figure it out. I'm not taking what someone's told me is the answer. You see the difference there? Right? When I taught a Bible study, I'll wrap it up with this. I taught a Bible study about the book of Revelation. Okay? It's called Revelation. It's not Revelations. It's the book of Revelation. And the church that I was going to, they didn't like my Bible study. I'll tell you why they didn't like my Bible study. It's because they had the whole Left Behind, you know, the movie Left Behind, the book series Left Behind, Kirk Cameron, all that. They had that view of Revelation. Okay, there's a lot of different variations of different people have different, right? And I said, no, I'm not going to teach that. I'm like, why wouldn't you teach that? And I was like, because what we're going to do in my Bible study is we're going to read the book of Revelation verse by verse, and we're going to see what does it say. I'm not going to have you tell me what it says or what this movie or this book told me that it says. I'm going to read it. If we have to go back to the Greek, we'll go back to the Greek to figure some shit out. And we're going to see what does it actually say. Man, people didn't like that. I mean, there were some people in the Bible say that they're like, oh, no, John, this is awesome, right? But the church, they said, yeah, you know what? For the next, we don't need you to do a Bible study anymore. Don't come back. Okay? They did it in a nice way or whatever, but they're like, it's fine. We don't need you to teach another book of the Bible. And the reason why, you know the reason why, is because I was actually thinking for myself and examining what it says. And again, I'm not knocking your religion, guys. I love you guys. Seriously. I love you guys. Hey, We come from the same roots, all right? It's a good thing. But here's the thing, all right? Think for yourself. Don't just accept this. Just because you believe something now doesn't mean you'll believe it later, and doesn't mean that you can have doubts about things. Doesn't mean you have to change your religion, doesn't mean you have to do things differently. But it does mean that you need to actually examine and do the work of figuring things out. Just like I went through the book of Revelation in my Bible study and actually read the verses, didn't listen to what someone told me that they said, and helped other people do the same. You can do the same. And when I see these comments, the reason why I get upset about these comments is not because I care if you're trying to convert me to Christianity or Islam, or it's because you're ignorant. All right? And I'm trying to be nice. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not, like I said, I love you guys. I do. That's why I'm making these videos. Okay? And I know that you're like, in your heart of hearts, you're trying to help me out, and I appreciate that, man. I really do. Like, thank you. Thank you for caring enough to leave a comment. But I am telling you that you are ignorant. And I'm not saying it to insult you. I'm saying it to wake you the fuck up. Because that's the reality. See you tomorrow.